Let's see what you're made of.
Feed the flames.
I warned you.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first episode of Heroes vs. Champions. We're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to do a fantasy matchup between Dota2 hero and a League of Legends counterpart. For this first episode, we're going to look at two characters who are clearly mirrors of each other, with Dota2's Gyrocopter and League of Legends' Corki. Both characters draw clear inspiration from Warcraft 3's Dwarven flying machine, and that makes them a really good pick for this first episode. So how is this going to work, and how will we determine which of these heroes is stronger? Well, we'll tell you, but first, make sure you subscribe to win.gg for all of our esports content. So here are the rules to Heroes vs. Champions. We start with three categories: lore, in-game strength, and esports viability. We're going to pick out which character has the edge in each of these three fields. Lore takes a look at the backstories of either character. League of Legends and Dota 2 both have units that range from planet-eating cosmic horrors to anthropomorphic children. Either game's lore can give some very good hints regarding the true strength of either character, and that makes it a great place to start for this contest. From there, we look at in-game strength. Generally speaking, Dota 2 and League of Legends have similar roles, and games play out in a similar fashion. Different characters can peak harder at different points in the game though, and looking at how and when they scale is a good way to grasp how they stack up relative to one another. Finally, we take a look at esports viability. It's no secret that competitive video games aren't perfectly balanced, and that means we see some characters far more often than we do others at the professional level. We'll take a look at how popular either character has been at the professional level in their game, to get a read on how they stack up relative to the competition. So we start things off with lore. Unsurprisingly, these two characters have pretty darn similar backstories. Both characters are battle-hardened veterans who happen to dedicate their golden years to aeronautical engineering. Gyrocopter was a keen soldier who happened to come across a schematic for a flying machine at some point during his tenure. Once he retired, he decided to put those blueprints to use by building the first non-magical flying machine in Dota 2 history. After several failed attempts, he successfully created the flying machine, but only happened to have a short trip as he was shot down by an unnamed enemy. From there, he decided he needed to outfit his gyrocopter with weaponry to ensure he could fly to his heart's content. Corki's backstory is fairly similar. He's an ace pilot for Bandle City's Air Force who happened to be forced into retirement against his will. When he had the chance to fight on Summoner's Rift, he jumped on the opportunity and dusted off his old flying machine and took to the skies once more. The key difference between these two is that Corki has actually had his flying machine his entire life. While you can make the case that Gyrocopter might be tougher because he's made it this far without a flying machine, the fact of the matter is that if they faced off in a one-on-one battle, Corki is much more experienced with his, and that's enough to have us give him the first point and an early advantage in this battle. Next up, we look at the in-game dynamics of either character. Gyro and Corki may look very similar, but they're actually very different in terms of how they play. Gyro is traditionally a safe lane carry who has really strong one-on-one skills in the early game, but transitions into a really strong teamfight threat in the mid and late game. By comparison, Corki is a mid-lane champion who's all about AoE magic damage. While good gyrocopters use spell combinations, Corki can just harass enemies out of lane by throwing constant spells at them. That said, the two characters do scale somewhat similarly. Both get a huge power spike when they get their first item, and tend to trend slowly upwards from there, before plateauing a little bit. The key difference between the two, and the thing that gives Gyrocopter the win in this category, is the fact that he has the ability to use Divine Rapiers to become a massive damage-dealing threat in the very, very late game. While this is a risky strategy, a fully kitted Gyrocopter is one of the biggest damage dealers in all of Dota 2. Corki just doesn't quite compare to that. That makes esports viability the deciding factor for this battle. Both Gyrocopter and Corki have enjoyed a fair bit of success among pro players over their years. Once again, the two characters are actually fairly similar in terms of how pro players have addressed them during drafts. Both have been picked fairly often, but neither has been banned especially often despite that popularity. According to Game of Legends, Corki is the 12th most picked champion in all of League of Legends, dating back to Season 4. On the flip side, according to Dota, Gyrocopter is the 13th most played hero in professional Dota 2 history. While Corki has an ever so slight lead over Gyrocopter in this regard, it's actually accentuated a little bit further when one considers how many more champions there are in League of Legends than there are heroes in Dota 2. And with all that said, Corki gets the win over Gyrocopter with a score of 2-1. And that brings us to the end of the first episode of Heroes vs. Champions. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you have any comments regarding our method or any matchups you'd like to see in the future, feel free to leave a comment down below. And once again, make sure to subscribe to win.gg for all of our Dota 2 and League of Legends content.